Hey everybody, so finally Taylor Hall has been traded. We have our first major blockbuster trade of the year. Taylor Hall is now an Arizona Coyote. Arizona is a team that has really come up in the last few days as the major front runner for Hall. For a long time it was Colorado. There was also talk about St. Louis, Nashville, Montreal, New York Islanders. There were a number of teams in on Taylor Hall. Arizona has come out the winning team. So far, details are still coming in, but so far, the trade looks like Hall goes to Arizona in exchange for 3 prospects, a conditional first-round pick, and a conditional third-round pick. But as more information comes in, that could get tweaked a little bit. I'm on Twitter right now just trying to catch up on everything. New Jersey will retain 50% of the Hall contract. There's no extension as part of this, so it's likely just a rental deal for the Coyotes, unless they end up re-signing him themselves. But that's probably why New Jersey retained 50%, because it really doesn't matter. His contract's up at the end of this season. Let's see. Pierre LeBrun, there's a hard first-round pick in the Hall trade plus another conditional first-round pick if the Coyotes re-sign Hall. Okay, so if Hall re-signs with the Coyotes, it becomes 2 first-round picks. If he doesn't and hits free agency this summer, then it's only 1 first-round pick. Oh, if they re-sign Hall and win a playoff round, okay, they got to win a playoff round as well. The conditional pick becomes a third-round pick if neither of those things happen, and a second-round pick if one of those things happens. Okay, so if they re-sign Hall and win a playoff round, it's a first-round pick. If they just re-sign Hall but don't win a playoff round, or if they win a playoff round but don't re-sign him, it's a second-round pick. And if neither of those things happen, it's a third-round pick. Okay, so that's a conditional third. There's also a hard first-round pick in there. So New Jersey gets a first-round pick out of it no matter what, possibly a second one, certainly another pick of some kind, and 3 prospects. So New Jersey, obviously, that looks like that's what the deal is. Okay, so let's look at this from the New Jersey side and the Arizona side. From the New Jersey side, obviously, they've been a major disappointment this year. Oh, and there's Blake Spears also involved in this trade going to Arizona. So another, I would assume, prospect. I'm going to add him to look up because I don't know anything about him. I don't know a lot about these prospects that are involved. But, okay, so the official deal, according to Cap Friendly, which I'm looking at right now, Arizona Coyotes get Taylor Hall, 50% of his salary retained by New Jersey, and Blake Spears in exchange for Nick Merkley, Nathan Schnarr, Kevin Ball, a first-round pick in 2020, and a 2021 conditional third-round pick that could become a first, depending on what happens, as we talked about earlier. That is the official trade, according to what I see on Cap Friendly. That makes sense. So, okay. From the New Jersey perspective, obviously they've had a horrible season. They're one of the worst teams in the league, and they are going to dump off these veteran players. And they're going back into full rebuild mode. So this makes sense for them. They get loaded up with draft picks and prospects, 3 young players, a first-round pick, potentially another first-round pick, at least another top, first 3 rounds for their other picks. So they're obviously rebuilding, and this seems like a good deal for them. For the Arizona Coyotes, this is a hugely important deal. Arizona right now is first place in the Pacific Division. Arizona looks certainly like a playoff team. They're one of the best teams in the entire league. They're great defensively. They're getting Vezina-level goaltending from Darcy Kemper. Antti Raanta has played very, very well in a backup role. Their biggest issue is goal scoring and offense. The only thing stopping Arizona from, I think, reaching the heights of teams like Washington and St. Louis and Colorado and Boston and those top teams in the league, the thing stopping Arizona from being at that level is that they really don't have an explosive, dynamic offense. Phil Kessel hasn't produced great. Clayton Keller hasn't been all that great this year. They've got some players playing well. Connor Garland's having a really nice year goal scoring, but they don't have a ton of offense in that lineup. This changes that. Taylor Hall is now the top 6 forward, the guy who should give you 70 points in a full season that they've really needed to add to this group. And this is a massive, massive addition to a team that is already a first-place team in their division. This is huge for Arizona. Arizona is looking to make a run this year. We know they have the defense. They've got the team defense. They've got the defense core. They've got excellent goaltending, probably one of the best goaltending duos in the league. They needed offense, and now they've gone out and they've got offense. This is huge for the Arizona Coyotes. What they gave up, I mean, New Jersey gets a left shot defenseman who's 19 years old in Kevin Ball, who has 20 points in 28 games with the Ottawa 67s this year. Looks like a pretty solid prospect. Nick Merkley has been playing with the Tucson Roadrunners in the AHL. He's a little bit older. He's 22. He had 34 points in 45 games in Tucson last year. This year, he has 16 points in 26 games with the Roadrunners. So he's a little bit older. He might be making that NHL jump sooner rather than later. But, you know, looks maybe as more of like at the NHL level, probably a third or fourth line guy for right now. And Nate Schnarr is a right shot center who's 20 years old, currently playing in his first season in the AHL with Tucson. He has 9 points in 22 games, but looks like there's a lot of potential there, as his last season in the OHL with the Guelph Storm last year, he had 102 points in 65 games. So Schnarr looks like a guy who could potentially grow into a top 6 forward. Merkley, to me, looks more like a third-line type guy at already 22 years old and maybe ready to make that NHL jump a little bit sooner. And Kevin Ball, young defenseman, looks like he has a lot of potential at the in the future going forward. He's only 19 years old, so that's a solid prospect. The prospect going to Arizona, along with Hall, is Blake Spears, who, again, is a right shot forward. He's played with the Binghamton Devils the last 3 years. Not a lot of point production. 19 points his first year, 8 points last year, only 1 point in 10 games this year. So, he's obviously not a high-level prospect or anything like that. He's also 22 years old already. So he kind of just a throw-in for this trade. But New Jersey got what they wanted in the prospects and the draft picks. Taylor Hall to the Arizona Coyotes. The Coyotes got what they wanted with a, top 6 forward, point producer, somebody who's going to bring a lot of offense to a team that was the only thing that they were missing. So to recap, we have Taylor Hall, 50% salary retained, and Blake Spears going to the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for Kevin Ball, Nick Merkley, and Nate Schnarr, 3 prospects, a first-round pick, and a conditional third-round pick that could become a second or third depending on how the Coyotes do this season in the playoffs and if Hall re-signs or not with the Coyotes. I guess Hall could still, I think, is probably likely to test free agency. However, if the Coyotes can sign him to a long-term deal, they have the rest of this year to do that. The deal, that's pretty much it. The deal is done. So this is obviously huge for the Arizona Coyotes. They've made their move in the Western Conference, and they are going to look to become a top team out west with this move now made, on top of the goaltending and team defense that they already have. So Taylor Hall traded, huge blockbuster deal, biggest trade of this season certainly so far, and that's going to be it for Taylor Hall talk for a little while, except maybe extension talk. But the trade rumors are now done. Arizona comes out on top. And a lot of teams were in on Taylor Hall. Arizona was the team that was willing to pay the price it took to get him. and now they have added him to their roster and to that forward group, which desperately, I think, needed an influx of talent and dynamic offensive possibilities. So, again, I think New Jersey's doing what they need to do in rebuilding, and I think we're going to see Wayne Simmonds and maybe PK Subban be dealt off as well. They're going to be trying to deal veteran guys in exchange for picks or prospects or both. And Arizona's done what they needed to do, which was get some more offense in there, and which will then hopefully push them to being one of the absolute best teams in the Western Conference. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.